Greetings and salutations to each and every one of you. It's a great day that the good Lord has made. It happens to be the first Tuesday of the month of June, the 6 months of the year. We're halfway in the middle of the year of 2025. We're excited and delighted to be with you on tonight for a deeper dive. I want you to do us this favor right now. We want you to like, share, tag, highlight everybody on your in your neck of the woods and your platform, those that you have influence over. I want you to tag as at least 5 people. I want you to see it now. Do it in the comment section. Tag them, let them know that they're getting ready for a powerful time tonight in a deeper dive as we're coming in. Good to see you, Pamela Dawkins. I pray that you have made it safely back to Colorado. I think there's a big time zone difference there. So we thank God for you, Tawana Rogers. Good to see you. Happy belated birthday to you, Tawana Nelson. Good to see you as well. Come on in. Let us know that you are watching this right now. We're excited to have our executive pastor back with us tonight for a deeper dive. Pastor McCord, how you doing, sir? Oh, got you on mute.
I'm
There
here
you
now.
go.
Hey, man, I'm doing all right, man. Good to be back, diving deep tonight, man. I'm doing all right. How you doing, Pastor E?
I'm doing well. Full day, full week. But
Same.
all is well. Coming off of what I believe was a good Sunday. I have been enjoying the messages on growth, being that the Bible, the Word of God, is so saturated with
Yeah.
these agricultural principles, and to be able to dive into them. Most of these passages of Scripture I've never preached before.
Mm.
So for a preacher, it's a good thing. It's like a new kid in a candy store, being able to unpack these messages, man. And so I'm just excited about growth. I'm excited to see growth in people.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I love about pastoring and love about being connected to people is you get to see people grow up, members and those that are even older than you, but they look to you, they look to you, they look to me for spiritual guidance, is to see them grow up in God, in the things of God, and making progress and strides in their own personal lives is magnificent. I know for you, as a youth pastor, youth pastor and executive pastor, you get to see it from both angles.
Hmm.
You've watched young people that you've taught in LOZ.
Yeah.
They're grown up and now they're in the big church, and then you've been able to have an influence on either the adult members as well. So I know you're excited to see growth as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. And this season, this year of growth, man. Even when we were discussing the theme for the year, it was not just wanting to talk about growth, but wanting to see it right in the people, and in the ministry, and thankfully we've been able to see some of that, in all aspects. So we're grateful.
Yeah, we're in the middle of the month, and so we still got a lot of growing to do.
Yeah.
And so again, I've been saying the last few Sundays, if you tired of growing, it's probably not the time for you to come to Zion because you're gonna hear something about growth, because we're serious about it and we want to see what we're saying. Sunday, God led me to this thought when I which took us to the book of thank you, Pam. Angela is in. Yeah, what am I talking about? I do that oftentimes with Pam and Angela. She reminded me, no, it's
Nick,
not me. I'm still around the corner. That's right. It's thank you for that. Thank you so much. Um, I it was a burden on me as it relates to growth that God just kind of spoke in my spirit, like, hey, are you the reason why something can't grow?
mm, wow.
Like, and as it relates to my life or me as a parent, and I'm sure you're parenting younger kids than I, and it's something about being an adult that we hate to see our children get involved in things, or especially feel like they're going to be harmed or they're going to mess it up, or we tend to want to jump in,
Right.
and we like to rescue things a lot. We like to prevent things a lot.
Yeah.
And God just kind of dropped in my spirit. Sometimes you got to leave it alone.
Hmm.
Sometimes you have to let go.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to let things play out. Sometimes you have to let lessons teach themselves,
Yeah.
that you don't have to always be the teacher of the lesson. Sometimes the lesson is the lesson.
Right. 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 That's right.
And this avoidance sometimes really, if we're not careful, can be stagnating growth.
Yeah. That's there's a term for that, in the sense of always wanting to step in and save people from things. It's called having a savior complex,
Mm,
right? And you see that with some people. They just they tend to always, if someone's in trouble or something, they just have to involve themselves, right? They just have to save everybody. And it's an actual thing, to have a savior complex, to feel like if somebody got a problem, you got to be the one to solve it, right? If
mm,
somebody's going through something, you got to be the one to solve it. And it ends up being to your detriment
right.
because you're trying to solve everybody else's problem, and now you got their problems and yours. And a lot of times you have to learn how to detach yourself from that and stop trying to save everyone. And one of the things that I have been prayerful about over the years, and me and Jazz as well, um, because as you mature and grow older and reach any level of success, right, or perceived success. Let me say that perceived
Right.
success. Some success is real, some success is perceived, and a lot of times people, when you have any level of success, most people think you have more success than what you actually have.
Some of it's just fake, downright fake.
Right. And so, when people think that way, albeit family, friends, whatever, they tend to reach out, to you to help them with things, financial
Mm,
things like that, right? So if they think because of the job you have or because of the positions and titles you have, they think you got it, right?
mm,
And they begin to reach out, and I had to, you start to see an influx in those requests, if you will. And a lot of people that knows me know that I have no problem saying no to things, right? Um, but there are some times where I would say yes, and I began to not just blindly do things. I began to pray about things like that, in the sense that I didn't want to block or dismiss the lesson that God might be trying to teach them.
mm,
And I'm like, I just begin to pray, like situationally, right?
Right.
Case by case. Like, Lord, lead me in this. Do I need to help them with this? Should I help them with this? Or are you doing a work in them that if I bail them out, it's going to mess up what you're doing?
Mm.
And there's been times where I said no, not because I didn't have it, not because I didn't want to, but because the Lord just led me not to do it because he was doing whatever he was doing in them. Right. So we have to make sure that we don't block other people's growth, right? Growth, that we don't block other people's growth by bailing them out of whatever process God is doing in them. And sometimes you're the easy way out because you're just going to help them out. But God may be doing a work in them and you trying to save them from it when God is trying to teach them a lesson.
Man, that's a whole message within itself,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's kind of like Psalms 1 and 3, where it kind of talks about standing in the way of sinners, and I'm just going to use that as
Mhm.
standing in the way
In the way.
of somebody's lesson.
Yeah.
That you can stand in the way. And again, and I talk to a lot of parents a lot, and a lot of lessons, when we say God save my child, and every time God does something to save them, we jump in
Yeah.
and rescue them, so they never get the lesson
Yeah.
that God was trying to give them in that moment.
Yeah.
And I've had a couple of parents, even since Sunday, say, Pastor, I needed that word because I have to how to leave it alone.
Yeah. 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 And all of us in some area, have to deal with that. I've had a conversation with the wife about that. I'm like, you better learn how to say no, because I'll say
Right.
it for you, but you better
Right.
believe those requests are going to begin to increase as time goes on. So if you need me to say no for you, I will, but just know that we have to be prayerful about that because, I don't want to block whatever development God is doing with someone else by bailing them out of whatever they're in. Because, anybody that's been through dry seasons, we know that dry seasons are developmental, right?
Mm.
They will develop you. They will make you creative. They will make you budget. A dry season will develop you. And if you keep bailing people out in their dry season, they're not developing.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, the latter part of the lesson of the message, let them grow together.
Mhm.
Let it grow together, which is what you're essentially saying. The good and the bad, they have to grow together.
And it's
This
purpose.
dry season in the rain. It's raining now in South Florida, and but it's been dry for a long time.
Yeah.
And when you're in the dry season, it'll rain again. It will rain again.
Mhm.
But there's some lessons that we learn in the dry season that we'll never learn in the rainy season,
Right.
in the blessing seasons.
Right.
You said it, budgeting and breaking up habits and things that we tend to overlook if somebody is constantly bailing us out
Yeah.
or rescuing us or things of that nature. Sometimes it robs God as from what he's really trying to accomplish in all of our lives.
Yeah. Gotta learn how to leave it alone. That's your message. Gotta learn how to leave it alone sometime, man.
And that's the thing that stuck out to me when I looked at this passage in Matthew chapter 13. The entire chapter is really talking about this seed principle, because in verse number 24 it opens up by saying, here's another story. So of course, just from a linguistic standpoint, another story means there was a story before that one.
Right.
But here's another story about the kingdom of heaven. It's like a farmer who planted, here it is, good seeds in the field. So this text opens up by sharing with us what I consider to be good intentions. That's what we see in this text. We see the intention of the farmer. The intention of the farmer in this text was to plant good seeds.
Good seeds.
That was his intention.
Mm-hmm.
And we've all lived long enough to know that we can have good intentions. Most of us go into things with good intention.
Right. Right.
Yeah. We have good intention. Now, it don't always play out, the way we wanted to play out, but we had good intentions.
Yeah.
We wanted it to turn out this way, and I like that the passage brings about the fact that the farmer actually put good seeds in the ground,
Yeah. Yeah.
because so often people get criticized when people see an outcome, but they don't understand. No, they actually did prepare.
Right.
They
Yeah.
actually they didn't put bad seeds in the ground.
Right. Right. This results.
Yeah, yeah. And so many times people misjudge intentions.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think intent means everything, right? Especially in the professional field that I work in.
I was
You
about to
know,
say,
a lot of, you look at Florida State statutes and things like that. A lot of the, what's needed to charge people with crimes and things like that is you got to know what their intention was. Like, was their intent to do that? Then they intend to do that, because some things happen by mistake, right? Some things are
right?
accidents. It's not necessarily a crime if someone accidentally did something. It's intention. So it shows you the power of intentions, right? The power of intent. But also in everything else that we do, that our level of intention, or if we have good or bad intention, goes a long way. Because a lot of times, even if things have a bad outcome, if people know that your intentions were good, you could usually get past it, right?
Yes.
You could usually live through certain things when they know, he didn't mean no harm. He had good intentions. But on the contrary, if you got bad intentions, you're not going to get a lot of passes. Like, if you're sowing discord, if you're
Mm.
sowing negativity, and people know that, and your intentions are always negative, then if something happens or there's a negative outcome, you're not gonna be saved from that, right? You're not gonna be able to get from under that. So sowing good, right, to the point of the text, goes a long way, right? But now we also understand that just because your intentions are always good, I mean it always goes good, but your intentions are connected to your heart, right? In the sense that what your intent is behind something says a lot about what's in your heart and how you are as a person. So, when you know people that always have good intentions, you look out for people like that. You bless people like that. You keep people like that close. So it challenges us to sow good, right? Sow good seeds, right? You've said it before. Seeds isn't just financial, right? We sow in different ways, right? We sow positivity, we sow encouragement. So I think as Christians, we just have to be very intentional about sowing good in every arena that we're a part of.
Yeah, yeah. These good intentions, they are a matter of the heart, and we have to stop saying that things are accident when you know that's how you intended for it to happen.
Yeah,
As you said, most of what happens, you spend a lot of time judging intent.
yeah,
A lot of time.
yeah.
Was this an accident? Or were you planning for it to turn out this way?
All right, all right, right,
Like,
right.
oh, that was my bad. No, it's not your bad. You intended
Yeah,
for it to turn out that way.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And, there is a point in all of our lives that we have to sow good seeds.
Hmm. Hmm.
Not just about, because the text could have just simply said seeds.
Yeah.
A farmer sows seeds. But the text says the farmer sowed good seed.
Let's see.
And what's so interesting about the text is that you say, man, this I know this was a good seed. I know this was a good seed.
It raises the idea that clearly all seeds are not created equal,
Ooh,
right?
ooh,
Because if there could be that delineation that there's good seed, then that has to mean that there could be a bad seed,
mm,
right? Because you can't really have one without at least
Right.
possibility of the other.
Right.
So we can't, that really challenges us now to, and this may just be a personal thing in the sense of only you and God might know if what you're sowing is good or bad.
Mm. Because just
Because
because it's a seed doesn't mean it's a
just
good
because it's a
seed.
seed may not mean it's a good seed. Now, what's an example of that? Well, if let's use something financial for a moment, right? If you were asked to sow something or you were led to sow something and you sowed beneath what you know you could have done and was led to do,
Mm.
because it's not the amount, it's not the size of the, it's not the amount, it's about the sacrifice, right? And
Right.
what's high or what it is dependent upon the person. But if you're going beneath what God told you to do, then that's not a good
It's not a
seed.
good seed. Ooh. You could put in the seed envelope, you could do all that, and it's still not a good
It's
seed.
not a good seed because it's not what God told you to do. So
Ooh.
the how we judge what's good seed or not is not about amount or frequency or what, it's about, are we doing what God told us to do? And you can use that in any way you want. It doesn't have to be finances.
Can God label it as good? That's the
God
question that we
label it
have
as
to
good.
ask.
That's the question. That's the
We
question.
we see it in Cain and Abel, right? They both gave, but God says one was excellent and one was not.
It was not. Right. Right.
They both gave. They both gave something. But one was a good seed and one was not a good seed.
Not.
And that's why I say all the time, we use this term, God knows our heart. I think we use it too loosely.
Yeah.
Because most times we use it to really deflect.
It's an escape.
Right. Oh, God knows my heart. He does know your heart, and he knows what's in your hand.
Your hand too. Right. And
Yeah.
he knows how the two are connected.
Right. And most people with a good heart, you don't have to force things out of their hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You absolutely don't. Partial disobedience is still disobedience. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Partial. Going beneath, especially if God has specifically instructed you to do something. Because God could be very clear, right?
Mm-hmm.
God could be very clear about the what, the amount, the who, the where. He could be very clear.
Right.
And if you don't give it to the right person, you gave what God said, but you gave it to the wrong person. That's still disobedience.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to give it to her because I don't like her.
We sometimes hear these terms, sins of omission and sins of commission, right? It's a sin to do what God said not do, but it's also a sin to not do what God said do. Right? That's omission. Like you failed to do what He said do. Right? It's not just about what we do. A lot of times it's about what we don't do.
Right.
So we have, when you start to understand that, it really makes us, or it should make us, judge what it is we're sowing and how we're sowing, because we want to do it with good intention. We want to do it with a good heart. We want to do it with a pure heart. Do it with good intention. Intention and heart go hand in hand. So when you sow good with good, because you can you can sow something good with bad intentions.
My God.
Right? We know people. Maybe we know people that the people workplaces, like they'll do something good, but they're doing it because they want something from you, or they're playing a long game. They'll do something good,
It's a
but
con game.
it's a con game.
Long gone.
The
Yeah.
act is good, but the intent is bad.
Ooh.
So they'll do you a favor, do this and that, but little do you know, they got the knife right behind your back. They showing you goal over here so you can turn that way so they can stab you in your back. They're doing something good, but the intentions are bad.
Lord
So
have mercy.
that shows you how important intent is. That having good intention with a bad outcome is better than having bad intention with a good outcome.
Wow. 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 Man, yeah, we spent all night talking about that because you do have to question people's intentions, right?
Especially when people be too nice or too like, we're like, wait a minute,
Yeah,
now.
women be like that all the time with their husbands. So like, wait a minute, you must be want some, yeah.
Right, you being abnormally
Right,
nice.
right. You being
You being
you
abnormally
you
helpful.
washed all the clothes, you washed all the dishes, you did.
Yeah.
They
You gotta
start
be.
checking your
You
intentions.
gotta check people's intentions, man. You gotta don't always be so blinded by um, good deeds, right?
Right.
Don't be so blinded by good deeds because a lot of times it's not. It doesn't have good intentions behind it. We see it in politics all the time, right? Some
Yes.
certain politicians, they'll do certain things that they know is going to appeal to a certain crowd, right? We saw it happen recently with some of these
Right.
pardons. They were like, "Oh,
Right.
you pardoning some all folk or whatever." Well, what's the intention behind that,
Right.
right?
Right. We don't like to talk about that.
Right. What is the reason, right?
Right.
So you can't always judge the deed. You got to judge the intention behind the deed.
Wow. Yeah, man, that's good. That's good. Um, we see he actually had good intention, but the text says to us, which it's like you don't always. This is almost crushing when you read it.
Mhm.
But at night, as the workers slept, his enemies, the farmer's enemies, came in and planted weeds amongst the wheat. Then he slipped away. Man, this verse alone, Pastor, is so crushing.
Yeah.
Like you do all this when you really look at this from a practical standpoint, right?
Yeah.
You do all of this work. It's like setting up a party, decorating, right? You done spend all this time blowing up the balloons, decorating, and you like, okay, good, we ready for the party. We gonna close the door, and then as soon as you walk out, the devil come, your enemy come in and bust all the balloons.
That's all it belongs.
Like at night, the enemy, the text says his enemy. It's very clear. It's very distinctive, right?
Yeah.
Not a enemy, his enemy came and planted weed. He also did some sowing.
Yeah.
He planted weeds
Yeah.
amongst the wheat. I call this the interference
Yeah.
because we have to understand in the body of Christ as Christians, we almost have to be prepared for the enemy's interference.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? When it's almost when we understand the works of the enemy,
Yeah.
it's his job
It's his
to
job.
try to interfere.
You gotta expect it. You should
Yeah.
be. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, what this text shows me is something we all need to be aware of, right? That the devil knows at least two things. He knows about your seed and he knows your schedule.
Woo!
Right?
Woo!
He knows
I love that.
he knows your seed. He knows where you planted it. He knows where you sowed it. He knows how much.
Right.
He also knows your schedule. He knows when to catch you slipping. Right?
Wow.
He knows when to
Man.
catch you slipping.
Lord have mercy.
He knew exactly when to sneak in, when they would be asleep, when they wouldn't be aware, when they wouldn't be vigilant. He knew where the seed was, and he knew their schedule. You all better recognize.
Y'all ain't y'all. Boy, y'all don't know good teaching when you hear it in the comments. Say, boy, that thing blessed me.
He knows both. Because if he doesn't know both, then he can't effectively execute this mission. Because
Wow.
he can know where the seed is, but if he don't know when to show up, if he don't know your schedule, it don't matter. Or he can know your schedule, but if he can't find the seed, he knows both.
And you know what? You know how this helps people in 2025? We sharing too much of our schedule.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't let everybody know everything, man.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to let people know after it happened.
That's part of my playbook right there. I'd be posting stuff. I'd be like, "Oh, you at so and so?" Like, nah, that was
Nah,
last week, man.
I was at so and so.
Like, nah, that's old.
Right, that's old.
I'm back
Yeah,
now.
yeah, right. Be careful. You done told the enemy you gone.
You done showed them your schedule.
Because you shared your schedule. Somebody need to get this tonight. I don't know if y'all getting this tonight.
Yeah, man.
You can't keep sharing your schedule.
He knows. He knows.
Come in the house thinking I'm on vacation. Bam!
Yeah, you come when you want to. You want to.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
judge it based upon what's posted. Trust me.
Right, right. Oh, he ain't there. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. I set you up. You try
Right.
to set me up. I set you
Right.
up.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the only way he's able to effectively interfere.
Mm.
Is because he knows about the seed and about the schedule. So he knows exactly where and exactly when to interfere.
Yeah.
So because we know he knows that, we have to be able to put fences around and protect, what it is we're sowing or what it is we're trying to do, because he is going to try to interfere. Like that is
Yes.
just a fact. That is his job. Like that's his whole makeup, right? That like he is going to interfere. So when you expect it, then you should be able to arm yourself in a way that you'll still be okay even though he interferes, right? Because
Right.
he's going to interfere.
And what the enemy does, that's so good, because what the enemy does is he wants to knock you off your schedule.
Hmm.
Oh God, how many of us have had dreams, goals, right? And we got due dates on them. I want to graduate by this. I want to have this completed by this. So what the enemy would try to do, try to disrupt, interfere. It's like a defensive back, the wide receiver trying to get to a spot, and the defensive back is trying to bump him off that spot, because the quarterback is timing.
Right.
Right? It's about the timing.
A lot of times quarterbacks are thrown to a spot
At a certain time.
And if the receiver doesn't get to that spot at the right time, then
Right.
it's interception, which
Right.
says the quarterback gets blamed for it. But if you know football, no, the receiver was supposed to be right there. That's how they practice it. So you're right. He wants to throw off that timing, man. And even our growth, you said he throws off our schedule, our growth schedule, right? We see it.
Absolutely.
Right, we see it. He's sowing something that's going to throw off the growth schedule of what they originally planted.
That was his goal.
Yeah.
He's planting the weeds to throw off the growth schedule of the wheat.
Yeah.
That's what he's trying to do. And we have to understand, the Bible tells us not to be ignorant of the devil's devices. So as people who are growing in God, we have to prepare for this.
Mm-hmm.
We have to understand that this is part of the course, that I cannot just give up because the enemy's thrown my schedule off.
Yeah.
I can't just quit. Well, I was supposed to graduate in the fall, but since something happened, I'm just gonna quit. No, they gotta win a graduation.
Yeah.
You gotta understand that we can't allow these interferences, because you just said it in football. Even though the receiver might be getting interfered with, he still got to continue to run the route.
Right.
Because sometimes, watch this, they don't call it.
You're right. You can't be playing for a call. You can't be playing expecting you're going to get the call. You need to finish your route.
Right. Finish the route. Somebody need to put that in the comments. I'm going to finish the route.
Yeah.
I'm going to finish the route.
Might even interfere, but you still got to finish. Yeah.
Right. You got to finish, man. That's because the enemy will try to interfere. We see this in the text. We see blatant interference.
Yeah.
At night while they were sleeping, knowing their sleep schedule. Sometimes you got to throw the enemy off, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can't be so robotic. We can't be so routine.
Yeah.
I'm sure you taught your spouse this, driving home the same way, going. No, man, you got to change your routine.
Change it up. Sometimes you got to wake up earlier. Sometimes the Lord wakes up early, and you're like, man, why I'm up at 3:00 in the morning? Maybe it's time to fight real quick.
Right.
That's prayer time, right? You need to change your schedule up.
Absolutely.
That'll happen sometime. And one of the things, man, that the enemy, he first attacks your personal growth.
Mm.
He interferes with your personal growth first.
Yeah.
Because if he can get to your personal growth, then he knows that that'll heavily affect how you assist others in their growth.
Yes.
And then that's for all of us, whether you're a pastor, preacher,
If you're
what
not growing, you can't help nobody else
going
grow.
to help nobody else mature and grow and excel if your personal life, your personal growth is being affected. So he tries to interfere with us personally first, and you even know that this was a personal text because the verse before this, it says that he planted good seed in his field,
Yeah.
right? He wasn't planting anyone else's field. He was planting water in his own area, right?
Right.
And that's where the enemy came in at. So know that he's coming after you first because he knows that if he comes after you, it's going to affect everything. That's how he works it. But he's so slick and sly, and it's just interesting how the enemy moves because how this text is written in verse 25 is kind of how some people move sometimes, right?
Mm.
It said in the New King James version, in the version you have, it said the enemy came, planted the weeds, and then slipped away.
Mm. Yeah.
New King James say, and then he went his way. Right,
Mm.
literally just came in to sow something bad and was gone.
Mm.
And was gone. Didn't stay to see what happened. Nope, just I'm coming and gone. Right,
And
just
watch y'all fight it out. Watch y'all. You
watch
just
y'all
saw
try to figure out.
discourse.
Yeah, yeah. And
Mm.
people do that. People will show up and just sow something negative, and then you don't see them no more.
Wow.
It'd be like,
Wow.
what happened to so and so? They just came to sow something negative, and they were gone.
Wow.
You gotta be careful with people like that. But
Start the fight and then leave.
and then leave, right? And then leave.
Wow.
But that's how the enemy works, man. He just comes in and just drops a little negative, and then he on to the next thing. On to the
Mm.
next thing. Just sowing discord, just sowing negative.
Yeah. And we have to expect it as a church collectively. We I talked about it Sunday, man. Why they was sleeping. See, everybody can't be sleep.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah,
can't be sleep.
yeah.
Somebody got to be up. Somebody got to be alert. Somebody got to be vigilant. There's a passage in the book of Nehemiah that says that the enemy came in to frustrate their work.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he does, man. He's such an agitant. He wants to irritate and frustrate the work, get you frustrated, get me frustrated, get the people frustrated to the point we don't want to work no more.
Word no more.
And we've all been there, right? Dealing with this stuff. I'm just frustrated. When you frustrated, you don't want to work.
I don't want to do it. Yeah,
And he
yeah.
does that. He plants that seed of frustration, and guess what? He slip away.
You slip away and
He
leave you with
gone.
the frustration.
My work here is done. I'm out.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And so
That's
many times, I know I've done it. You've done it. You've had to counsel people that just think all hope is lost, not understanding all they were dealing with is some satanic interference.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And I'm like, the devil got you right where you want you. He wants you to quit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, your timing got thrown off. Yeah, that was a delay. Yeah, something happened. Yeah, you can't avoid that, but you got to pick up the pieces and keep going.
Yeah,
You keep going.
yeah.
And when that happens, verse 26 happens, right? You when the crop began to grow and produce the grain, the text says the weeds grew also. This is part of the text that I'm kind of like, okay, God, now you couldn't put no weed in feed, or you couldn't put no what you call it when you want to kill the weed, like you couldn't put that on the
Yeah, weed
weed.
killer. Yeah,
Yeah, weed killer.
yeah. It'll kill the
Like,
weed, not the plants.
right. What was the weed killer, God?
Yeah.
See, y'all don't ask these type of questions, God.
I have.
What,
I
what was the weed killer?
Yeah, yeah.
He
Because
sowed the seeds, but what you could have killed it.
yeah, you could have killed it. because one could argue that this verse is more troubling than the previous one, because I could deal with him sowing weeds as long as they don't grow.
Right.
If
Right.
you want to sow the weeds, okay, but now they're growing identical almost with my crops. So I got more of a problem with this than verse 25.
Why are the weeds growing?
They growing. Why are they growing? But it happens like that. That the things that the enemy and evil people sow, they grow sometime. They gain traction. We see it. Like
Yeah.
stuff we know is like, why are we even entertaining this? Why did this even gain any
Why
traction?
is this lie growing so
Right.
much?
It weeds grow, man. The weeds grew also. The weeds grew also.
And it's interesting, man, because we talk about this. And I think every pastor church deals with this. The weeds, the negativity of the church grows so quickly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And social goes viral. The weeds go viral.
Yeah.
But the wheats, the stuff that the church does as wheat, that's great, that's significant, no traction.
No traction. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. It's unfortunate, that it takes less to grow weeds than it takes to grow wheat.
Mm,
It's
my
it's
goodness.
unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And but it's a reality that we have to deal with, that when Satan plants something, it it may grow a little.
Yeah.
Right? It may have some traction. It may interfere, if you will, with what we're growing.
Yeah. Yeah. Verse 27. Farmers workers went to him and said, "Sir, the field where you planted good seeds is full of weeds."
Mm.
It doesn't even say, he doesn't even say full of wheat and weeds. That's a whole nother discussion. He
Yeah.
literally says it's full of weeds.
Mm.
Like the weeds, according to this passage, are kind of overpowering the wheat.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because he doesn't say it's full of wheat
Yeah.
and has some weeds in it. He says full of weeds. And then he asked this question I think we've all asked. Where did they come from? Where did this come from?
Yeah.
I call this inquiry, right? This like, because we've all had it. Like, we've all had these personal inquiries. Like, where does this mess come from? You just said it. When you hear a lie or you hear crazy, you be like, where did that come
Where
from?
did that come from? Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
who told you that? Like, huh? It's, you hear stuff so crazy, be like, well, how did that get started?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I remember a couple of years ago, somebody came up to me and say, "Pastor, they said you sold a church,"
Oh, Lord have mercy.
and I'm like, "Where did that come from?" Well, I figured it out. I guess a church, we rented out the space to another church, so they didn't understand what that looks like in the pandemic. That was early on in the pandemic, so I guess somebody else using the space didn't make sense. So they just said I sold the church.
Lord have
I said, what? Like what? Where did that come from? Like you hear stuff, and be like you have to you try not to laugh at people's face, but you like, well, how could somebody deduct that?
Right. Right. Right.
It's like
Like, come on.
sold the whole church, huh? Just sold it.
The picture does not tell 1,000 words,
Yeah,
nor does a
and
video these days.
yeah, and it's amazing that people take craziness and they just run with it.
Yeah. And that point that you just made also speaks to, this particular part of this text, where we focus on the negative, even when positive is present.
Mm,
Because nowhere in the text the text said that the crops grew. There was
yeah,
no lack of growth with the crops. It's
yeah,
just that the weeds grew also. So
yes.
there was harvest and weeds present, but he only was focused on the weeds, right?
That's good.
So our focus, our human focus is we always zoom in on the negative,
Yeah.
even when the present is positive. We do it in our own personal lives. We do it.
Mm,
So, like, even when there's some good, as soon as something bad happened, we're like, oh, here we go again. Like, oh,
mm,
everything, but there's so much good happening, right? You know what I
right.
mean? Like, so we can't, what we focus in on the negative. What happened with me recently? We had a big bill came up in our residence in Georgia now. Just got a new place. Glory to God, was able to obtain that. But with new home ownership comes new problems, right? Had a big bill come up, and it was like, oh, here we go again. We just got this place, and then in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm in a season where I'm like, okay, I think we can pay for it and be all right? Because that's just where we're at right now in at this moment. And I had to kind of shift my focus from, oh, here we go again, to
Thank God we could do it.
God just literally just gave you the provision to be able to do it. So
Wow.
it's what you're focusing on.
Mm,
So positive is present, but we focus on the negative. And
man,
we
that's
have to
so good.
sometimes change our view on it. Like, yeah, it may be bad. Yeah, weeds may be present, absolutely, but so are the grains, right? So don't allow yourself to be blinded from, blinded by the weeds being present to where that's the only thing you see.
Wow. Yeah, that full of weed statement, when we characterize our life in this manner, it's really sometimes a slap in the face to God.
Hmm.
Because as you said, sometimes we have to catch ourselves in real time
Yeah,
and stop allowing the enemy to get so much credit and be like, Lord, I thank you. You ain't necessarily thanking him for the big bill. You're
yeah,
thanking him for the provision.
yeah, yeah.
Because the bill could have came without having a provision.
Right, right. Now I'm not gonna be able to take no days off for a while, but
Right.
but it's all right. I can do it.
Right. You know what to pray for, right?
Right, right, right.
Lord, keep my body strong.
Your body strong, so keep on working.
Right. But we understand, man, that we so quick to say our life is full of weeds.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's a lot of wheat there. There's a lot of good there.
Because technically, that statement full of weeds isn't even accurate.
Mm.
Because for something to be full of something, it means that all the content in it is that.
Ooh.
But we know it's not, because the previous verse just told us that the crops grew and produced
Yeah.
grain, and the weeds also grew, meaning
Yeah.
in conjunction with the other thing.
Right.
So it's not full of weeds.
Mm. Wow.
So he's misinforming this farmer because he's overreacting,
Oh God.
right? He's misinforming. It's not full of weeds. If it was full of weeds, that would mean that there were no grain. There was no wheat. It's
Mm.
not even an accurate statement. It's an
Mm.
overreaction.
Mm.
It's an overreaction.
He
You know,
lied to the worker. He lied to the farmer.
he lied to the farmer. He lied to the farmer. And no fault to his, because he's just overreacting.
That's a human
Human
nature.
aspect, right?
We lie all the time about our situations. We magnify them.
We magnify it. We magnify it.
We exaggerate, as you said, a lot about over dramatize
Yeah.
the situation.
That's why you got to have some balance, right? Either your spouse, or your assistant, or whoever, whatever kind of
It's not
partnership
that bad.
you
It's
have,
bad, but it's not that
because
bad.
it's usually going to be one person that's going to overreact, and then another person is like, no, 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 no,
Right.
we all right, all right, we all right.
It's
So,
not
but
the end of the world. It's
right,
bad at
it's
the end of the
bad, but
world.
right, right, right. Because
Yeah.
if the farmer had the same mindset, oh yeah, it is full of weeds, and they both overreacting. Now, his
Wow.
reaction in verse 28 probably would have been different,
Wow.
right?
Yeah, I like that in the text. What I characterize it as the worker in wisdom in this text, right? That the farmer presents wisdom
Yep,
in this moment by
yep,
number one, identifying the enemy.
yeah,
He's identifying the enemy. Like, no, we put good seeds in the ground. We did our part. The
yeah,
enemy did this.
yep, yep,
And the question was asked, well, should we go out and pull out the weeds?
mm,
And he says, no, don't do that.
yeah,
Don't do that.
yeah,
Don't do that. He no, don't you do that.
yeah.
He says, let them grow together.
Leave him alone. Leave it alone.
Leave it alone. Don't do it. Leave it alone. He said, leave it alone. Let them grow together. And what's so significant about this is that, verse 29 is so significant about this in verse number 29 because he says, you will uproot the wheat if you do that.
Yeah,
I call that the identification process.
yeah,
Because we have an identification problem in the church, whether we want to admit it or not. We really do.
that's right.
Because we misjudge so many people.
Hmm.
And, you know, they say sometimes when you do something the good, you making the good suffer with the bad.
Yeah, yeah,
And we, you know, there's so many implications in this.
yeah,
But he simply said no, because if you just go out trying to pull, you're not gonna just pull up weeds.
right, right. And I think one of the keys for for this particular point, and it's an excellent point, being that you talk about identification. Um, the New King James version of this calls it tares, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
the wheat and the tares, but it's referring to the weeds,
Mm-hmm.
and it's at that early stage of the growth process, the wheats and the weeds look the same,
Mm-hmm.
right? They look the same, so you aren't able to identify which one is which.
Yeah.
So the wisdom that you're talking about, the wisdom that he had to say no, let them grow, because right now at this stage you can't identify which one is weeds and which one is wheats, and you are certainly going to pull up wheats, right? Trying to get rid of weeds.
Yeah.
So sometimes you gotta let things play out a little bit so that they can begin to separate themselves.
Yeah. There have been so many times that I've wanted to, as pastor, address situations. And, a lot of times I thank God for the 7 days that are between Sundays, the 6 days that are between
Yeah,
Sundays.
yeah,
Because sometimes God has to say, you gonna make a public announcement and it's really about 4 people.
yeah, yeah,
Like you're gonna make everybody feel the wrath of your, anger when really 4 5 people really was the cause
right,
behind what it is you're mad about.
yeah. Just talk to them.
Right. Just talk to them. Right.
Right. Yeah,
And and this whole thing of being able to identify things in our personal lives in the body of Christ is so significant
yeah.
because we certainly mischaracterize people in church.
Hmm. Hmm.
The people that don't look like a weed, don't look like a weed, they may be weed. The people that we think are weeds, they could be wheat.
Yeah, yeah,
So you gotta let it play out.
You gotta let it play out.
The enemy knows how to camouflage himself.
And over time, the weeds will start to separate from the
Oh
wheat,
yeah.
right? You just got to let things play out sometime. And, it's also important that you talk about identification. Verse 28, the farmer immediately was able to declare that the enemy had done this.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be able to identify when it's the devil that's attacking you,
Yeah.
when it's spiritual war. Like, you need to be able to know that, because sometimes, especially when you know what you've sown and you knew it was good,
Yeah. I said it on Sunday.
right? You got to be able to know, like, nah, this one, there has been some stuff that was a result of me, right? But nah, this one, that I'm under attack. This
Right.
one, this is different. You got to be able to identify that. You need to be able to identify when there's spiritual warfare. You got to be able to identify that, because then it tells you how you need to fight it.
Right. Yeah. When I said it in the message, when you know what you've sown, you don't have to always accept what you're seeing.
Yeah,
That's critical.
that's right.
I mean, you know this. I'm not saying something that you don't know, and most of the audience probably know. So many people talk about. I just had this conversation with a pastor today. Was it today? Yeah, today. About a relationship, or our relationship as a pastor, as an executive pastor, and how it flows, and how there's no ambiguity, there's no, all the stuff that a lot of pastors and churches go through when you have someone that's gifted and talented. And what I have to often remind myself, and then what I tell other guys is, hey, I sold this as a minister.
Right.
I didn't uproot my pastor.
Yeah.
I didn't try to outshine my pastor. I served my anybody that knows me know I served my pastor at my full potential, to the best of my ability.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what people see in a Brandon McCord is my harvest for what I sold in an Arthur Jackson Jr. and a D.L. Powell.
Right.
So if an Absalom spirit shows up, I get the question, because I didn't sow an Absalom spirit.
Right.
Now, if you know you did, now you can't be surprised when the Absalom raises up.
Right. That's right.
Because you an Absalom Jr. in your day. But so I don't get to accept the spirit of rebellion, because that's not what I've sown.
Yeah.
So you have to understand this principle, man. This is why the mindset of a sower, I'm trying to ingrain that into those that are connected to design. We have to have the mindset of a sower. The sower understands I sow good seeds.
Yeah.
So I gotta know, if I'm not seeing it, it's not me. I know this is the enemy at work.
Yeah, that's right.
Because this is not what I sowed.
Yeah.
So I don't have to accept it. I know it's time for me to fight.
Yeah. And the farmer was able to immediately identify that.
Identify it, man.
Like, no, I know this ain't what I sowed. The enemy did this.
Yes.
The enemy did this. Because
now, in the contrast, we can't be blaming the enemy for something we sold. See, that's hard for me and you to say to people.
Yeah.
No, this is not the enemy. This is God.
Right.
This is you. This is your heart. No, this is you. You're reaping this. This is what you sowed. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right.
And this identification is critical, because this gives us that we got to leave it alone. We got to let it play out. You said something that's critical, and we'll move to our finality, is that this is the early, he raises this question in the early stage of the growth process. Because we're about to see it. We know he did based upon the reply.
Yeah.
We're trying to make moves in the early stages of the process. You got to leave it alone. You got to let it play out.
Yeah. I'm living that, actually. Just don't make no moves. Just let it play out. I'm literally living that. and it's playing out. And while it's
Yeah.
playing out, I'm doing great.
Oh, isn't that something?
Yeah, better
Isn't
than
that
before,
something?
actually. Better
Isn't
than
that
before.
something?
Better than before.
If you let it play out.
Let it play out.
Oh, I hear music in the air. If you let it play out.
Play out. You gotta take your hands off. Stop. Don't. Nope. Nope. Don't do nothing. Don't say nothing.
Gotta move you out there so he'll change it for you.
Yeah.
Let it play out. What? Let me work. Let me cook. God said, let me cook,
Right.
man.
Right.
Let me
right.
cook.
Right. Let the chef cook. Yeah.
Yeah, let me cook. Just I all the ingredients to get. Just let it cook, man. Just let it cook. Watch it play out,
Yeah.
and it's gonna work out better.
It's gonna work out better.
Lord have mercy.
It's gonna work out better. I'm telling you.
Now, if you get involved, you try to interfere,
Mess it up.
you gonna mess it up.
We'll mess it up. Because the sorting season is coming. It's coming. It's coming. So
I needed you out the way so I could start working because that lawnmower gonna come and
well, you
Lord
gotta-
have mercy.
You just gotta sit back. Gotta take your hands off of it. Leave it alone. All right. Those 3 words is literally what the Lord told me a couple months ago as it pertains to a particular situation.
Wow.
Leave it alone.
Leave it alone. Lord have
Okay.
mercy.
Left it alone. Better now than I was then.
Those 3 words change your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Just left it alone.
God is so good. As our friend Veronica Jones, he's so strategic.
That's right. That's right.
He's so strategic.
He is. He
Leave
is.
it alone. Where would you be right now if you hadn't left it alone?
Just leave it alone.
Just leave it alone, man. He
Right.
said, then he said, until the harvest. Until the harvest.
Mm-hmm.
So as you stated earlier, I said on Sunday that these weeds being present won't affect the wheat's harvest.
Right. Right.
He says when it all grows up, then I would tell the harvesters to sort out the weeds, let them go into the bundle and burn them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I ended by talking about when God's gonna do what he does. He's not gonna do it until it's harvest time.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta wait. If
Yeah.
it hasn't been separated yet, it's not harvest time.
Right. Yeah.
I'm
And-
gonna do this separation at this particular time.
Because at that point, it'll be clear what goes on which side.
Yes, sir.
See, when it's a
who?
little, when it's a little grainy and muddy, you're like, I don't really know yet.
Who's who, what's what.
Just wait it out so that the sorting will become very easy.
It would no longer be blended.
Right.
It would no longer be, as you said, that gray area.
Yeah.
It would be very distinctive.
Yeah.
Who's who, what's what.
Yeah.
Because you let it play out.
It's interesting because it's talking about, it said until the harvest. Like we're going to let them grow until the harvest. And the interesting fact here is that for the wheat, the harvest is a positive. But for the weeds, the harvest is a negative because they're about to get cut.
Wow. Wow.
See, your season of harvest not gonna be a positive for everybody.
Whew.
That's why some people don't like it, right? They don't want to see you elevate. They don't want to see you harvest because they know that once that happens, they getting separated and burned.
My
So,
God, from
harvest,
Zion.
depending on which side of this you are, harvest could be a negative. Because once the harvest go, now they gonna know I'm a weed.
They gonna cut me off, Jack.
Right.
They gonna turn me loose.
We don't want the harvest to come, man, because
Wow.
it's the beginning for one thing, but the end of something else.
Mm, mm, mm,
So
mm.
we celebrate harvest, right? Well, we celebrate harvest because we're wheat. We on the
Mm,
right. We're on the right side of it. But there's some
mm,
people that don't want your harvest to come because they know it's going to be very clear
mm.
that you got to get rid of them.
Wow. Wow. Oh, Lord have mercy.
So we go into seasons of harvest and we celebrate harvest, but we also got to be vigilant in harvest because it's not a
Mm,
celebratory event for everybody.
mm. Wow. Lord have mercy.
But the
That
sorting is coming.
was super duper good.
The sorting is coming.
Sorting season. I
Yeah.
need y'all to put in the chat. I feel like my chat kind of let me down tonight. Sorting season. Listen to me. That's what the harvest is about. You said it earlier, man. We got to get to a sorting season.
Hmm.
When you are, and some of it has to kind of be pre-identified.
Hmm.
I mean, I got to separate myself from this because people can try to. Sometimes people see your see your harvest season before you see it.
Right. Right.
They'll be spending money in your harvest season before you even get to you being. By the time you get to the harvest, you in the red.
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
And you're right, man. That there are certain people that are waiting in the weeds,
Yeah.
and God says, I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna make it very clear and
Make it
obvious.
clear.
People's motives,
Yeah.
people's intentions, people's objectives. Just let it play out.
Yeah.
Just sit back and watch. Let it go. Leave it alone. Leave them alone. Let it play out.
Yeah. You know, one of the interesting things to me about this text is that you kind of see some roles here in this process. There's the farmer, there's the farmer's workers, and then in verse 30, he refers to the harvesters. So it would read as though the worker that he's talking to is not even the one that he's never going to touch these things again.
Mm.
He says, I will tell the harvesters to sort out the weeds. That's not even your job.
Woo!
Leave it alone. Leave it alone because that's not your job.
God Almighty Lord.
Right? He refers
It's
to
in there. It's in there.
it's in there. We got the farmer, and then the text refers to the farmer's workers, who was the one that the farmer is talking to about this incident. But then
Mm.
he says, "No, you leave it alone because you'll uproot the weeds. Let them grow together, and then I will tell the harvesters, a different group. That's their expertise. You got to let the expert be the expert. Let God do what He gonna do, right? You a worker trying to do what the harvest is supposed to do. That ain't how it works. It literally differentiates these different roles.
And we need all the roles. I know
We
sometimes as
need all the
pastors,
roles.
I've been told, no, that ain't your job. Leave it alone. Let
We
it
need
go.
all the
Let you got a
roles.
harvester. Let the harvester deal with
Right, right, right,
That's not your
right.
job. Should
That's
I
a job.
let it alone? Let it go. We got it. That's so good.
There's roles. He's like,
That's
no. See, now you're getting out of your lane.
Lord have mercy.
And just because something bad happens doesn't mean we start switching lanes. Because that's what happens, right? We get something bad. It's on fire, right?
That's
Everybody,
your job.
no,
Not
that
your
ain't your
job.
job.
I'm doing the double.
Not your job. So it wasn't just no, don't do that because it's not time. Also, don't do that because that's not your job.
That is not your job. The
Right?
harvesters.
He says, then I would no, I'm not. No, your role is done.
Because he would have said, I would tell you.
Yeah, I'll tell you when to sort. No, no, it differentiates. It's these
I'm so
different roles.
dumb. I didn't see that in it. I'm so dumb. Oh man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, church.
4 hours is better than one, man.
Lord have mercy. It's there.
It's
It's
in
in
there.
there.
It's in there. So we begin to get in trouble to the point of your of the the your title. Leave it alone. You got to leave it alone because it's either not the right time or that's not your role.
Somebody's gonna do what you want done. It just won't be you.
It just won't be you.
Can you be okay with it not being you?
Right.
Oh
Right.
God.
Right.
Wow.
He
And that
says it's gonna be
Bible.
handled. It's gonna be handled. It's just not gonna be handled by you.
Some planet, some water, God has to increase.
There we
Three
go.
different jobs, three
Three
different
different
roles.
three different roles. Three different roles. It's in there.
Yeah,
It's
it's
in
in
there.
there. It's in there. It is in there. It's
I'm gonna
in there.
stop. I'm gonna just stop talking. 'Cause then
Yeah,
we gonna be here 2 hours.
it's in there, man. It's in there. It's in there. It's in there. It's in there. Lord have mercy. Just we gonna end it right there. Just put it in there. It's in there. It's in there.
I
It's in there. We gonna
but
come
I
up for
I
water
ain't
now,
finished,
cause
but I'm done.
right we gonna come up because if we keep going, we gonna go way, 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 way down. We gonna go way down. So we gonna come up now. We gonna come up now before we run out of air in this oxygen tank. Listen, that's what's so powerful about the word. People like, you do deeper dive? Yeah, man, because when you start diving, you start grabbing hold of stuff you didn't grab hold to on
Yeah,
Sunday.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
And I think that's important for us in this season of growth is to do our job.
Yeah,
Do what we're gonna do what we're supposed to do.
yeah.
Don't try to do the harvester's job.
I was talking to somebody the other day. I don't remember who it was, but I referenced Bill Belichick because that's he kind of coined that, right? His time at the Patriots, like it was always his thing. Do your job, show up and do your job. If everybody just does their job, the job will get done, right? I don't
Yes.
need you to do this person's job. I don't need you to do your job, and and then the overall job will get done if everyone does their individual job.
Yeah. I personally, as pastor, have seen the growth of things at Zion when everybody's. I mean, First Lady talked about it in her mess. Stay in your lane, right? Run your race. Everybody does their job well. Just
Yeah,
do your job well.
yep, yep.
If
That's right.
I, as the pastor, do my job well, to be prepared to teach and to preach and to do that job from a biblical standpoint, if I do that job well, if the music ministry they do their job well, if the hospitality do their job well, right? Everybody do their job well, right? That's part of what we do,
Yeah, yeah,
and that's where real growth state comes from when we learn how to leave it alone.
yeah,
That's what
yeah,
we're in with that. When we learn how to leave it alone,
yeah.
that's when you know you're experiencing growth. Because immaturity will have your hands in everything.
Mm, mm, mm. And if you're doing someone else's job, then your
I've
job
been
is
an
not getting
immature
done.
pastor before. I have not doing everybody's job but mine.
Yeah. If you're
That's
doing somebody
immaturity.
else's job, you ain't doing yours. Yeah.
Yeah. Let
Wow.
us know if you enjoyed this dive tonight. Again, that's all we have is growth this year. So if you're getting tired of growth, I'm sorry for you because we still got 6 more months of growing to do, and we're gonna grow. We're gonna grow to be everything God wants us to be in this season, and we are unashamedly proud of what God is doing, has done, and what He's about to do. Of course, we want to invite you to our graduation Sunday. This Sunday, it's graduation Sunday. We get to celebrate our graduates. We have college graduates, we have high school graduates, we have elementary and middle school graduates, and we are excited about that this Sunday. Friends, families, loved ones, let's come to celebrate once again what God is doing in the life of our church. For our men, if you have a male in your life, invite them to Mandate. That is the Friday before Father's Day. Invite them to a free watch party at Zion. It's going to be food, fun, games, all that. It's going to be powerful. Probably going to have about 30, 40 men there at least. So come be a part, man. We're teaming up with Pastor Gonda and his Mandate team, who's doing a phenomenal job with men. They're bringing the show on the road to Zion, and we are excited about hosting that as well. Any final words, man of God, as we go out tonight?
No, man, Sunday was a phenomenal word, and just a phenomenal night diving into this word, man. It's always a joy, man. I'm a living witness. Let God work, man. Leave it alone. The good and the bad will work out for your good if you know when to leave it alone. So tonight was phenomenal. I think this one is worth a rewatch. Like, some people need to share this link, send it to some
Yeah,
people, share it, watch it again, go
yeah.
back and watch it.
Watch
Um,
the message again. Watch
yeah,
this again.
watch it again, man, because
Yeah,
I think it's something that this is a word that we could all gain something from, and it'll help us in the long run. So it's been a pleasure tonight going diving on this phenomenal word.
that's right. We close with this. As Paul says, leave it alone. Why? Because ain't we know all things, the good, the bad, the ups, the downs, the sunshine and the rain, they're working together for our good. It may not feel good, seem good, but it's going to work together for your good. We'll see you next time. Peace.